this. No, I gotta get on 2K. Chill.
Whoever said that on quad.
Yeah, maybe every day.
My back hurt, miss.
Very sorry. Get a pillow. Am I sharing my screen with you? I am, right? So if I do, can you guys see my screen? Sharing is paused until you. Sorry, that's probably my fire alarm, which is probably. Okay, can you guys see Jay?
Ooh.
What the?
He's black. That's why he lied.
Oh, Vincent!
I thought Jay was a what?
Those black people always lying. That's why.
All right, so we have. Sorry, I'm trying to move this so I can see your guys' chat, but also see my screen. Okay, so we have Jay. This is Jay now. Obviously, this was not Jay back in the day. But we're gonna read today together an article where he kind of gets to tell his side of the story. So, and this article that I have right here, you guys can still see my screen, right?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
This article that I have right here, I'm gonna put this into Google Class like I've been doing as soon as we're done with the call. So here we have, the title is Jay, Key Witness from Serial Trial Tells His Story for the First Time. This was written in 2014. Like I said, this whole podcast came out maybe 5 years ago now. So this is Sarah Koenig. She is the reporter that did the podcast. So her voice was the one we heard in the first video that we did. This is Jay now, and this was Adnan Syed when he got arrested. So he obviously doesn't look that young now. So I'm trying to think of the best way to go through this. This document is kind of long. It's an interview. So what that means is that the part in bold right here, this is the question that the reporter is asking, and this is Jay's answer. So I'm going to skip this part. It's just an introduction to the case, and I'm just going to go ahead and just start reading through. You guys are going to get the same questions for this as you did for the last source. So what that means is we're basically just trying to evaluate the source. So some of the words that you guys have already used, right? Like I remember someone said reliable. We've been talking about argument, evidence. All those things is what we're going to focus on while we read this so that you guys can determine who you trust more, right? Because we have these two sides. We have Rabia's side who says she's innocent, and we have Jay's side who says he's guilty. And we have to kind of figure out, are their arguments, are they logical? Are they relevant to the case? Are they sufficient? Is it enough? Are they reliable, right? Can we trust them? And that's kind of how we're going to decide if we think he's guilty or innocent. Am I talking too fast? Are you guys sick of my voice yet?
No.
Silent. Okay. All right, so we're just going to start reading through this. And just like in the other video I did, we're going to highlight and annotate it. So how old were you when you first met Adnan Syed? It was just the end of my junior year, so about 16. I knew because I knew Muslims in the community from playing basketball at the mosque. In Serial, you're depicted as a petty weed dealer. Is that why you didn't initially cooperate with the police? It doesn't seem like enough of a reason to not talk to the police. So here's kind of asking, why didn't you cooperate at first? It wasn't just like I was selling a nickel bag here and there. At the time, this was Maryland in the 90s. The drug laws were extremely serious. I saw the ATF and DEA take down guys in my neighborhood for selling much less than I was at the time. And they were getting sentenced to 3 and 5 years. I also ran the operation out of my mother's house, and that also put my family at risk. I had a lot more on the line than just a few bags of weed. The other thing to understand is something about the culture of Baltimore. This is where the Stop Snitching video comes from. This is where it was produced. It went national, but it was produced in Baltimore. This is where people would have their house firebombed and still tell the police they knew nothing about it, rather than try to make some sense of what's going on. And that's not necessarily me, but this is my family. That is my uncles and cousins. It's where I'm from. Okay, so here I want us to highlight a couple of things. Actually, let me not do all the work. What is some parts that you guys think maybe we should highlight, right? Because here we're trying to understand, like Leah brought up earlier, why does Jay switch up his story? And we're starting to understand like why he's saying he didn't really cooperate at first. So what's maybe like a sentence that I could highlight for evidence?
The drugs were extremely serious. I saw the
Your call.
DEA. What's up, Jeff?
Okay, so let's talk about, yeah, the drug laws were extremely serious, right? This is showing us that he really was like scared and he didn't want to get in trouble. So just to repeat that again for I know someone asked, in this part, right, we're looking to try to understand Jay's side of the story, and we're trying to decide if we trust what he has to say or not. So we're gonna highlight this part right here because say that this is evidence.
Huh?
Jeff, babe, can you mute?
Huh?
We're gonna say that this is evidence that he was like pretty scared. He didn't want to get in trouble with the police, and that's why he didn't participate at first. Awesome. Am I going too fast, or are we good?
Bring it back. This.
All right. Next question he asks: what was your life like during 1998 and 1999? I worked a lot. I rode a BMX freestyle, got called an Oreo. I had friends, but the groups were small. Never really a big group of friends. I played lacrosse, was a bit of a jock. The group of people I hung out with were different from the group of people I was from. I went to concerts like anything from Wu-Tang to Warped Tour. I was a bit of an outdoorsman, adventure seeker, fishing, camping, learned to ride a motorcycle. By the time I graduated Woodlawn High School in 1998, I wasn't exactly angry, but I did resent the school. Why? When Woodlawn put in the magnet thing, they took out all the vocational classes. Before, you would just go down there for drafting, shop, and everyone would commingle. And all the students interacted. But when they put the magnet wing in, it was kind of like these people were different from us. And they didn't have to interact with us anymore. They didn't have to go by us except to come to lunch. And that was it. But their gym, lockers, parking was down in the magnet wing. And I found that to be a bit of a slap in the face because I knew football had paid for all of that. But there were few football players down there. Football paid for everything at the school. I didn't resent the students. I resented the school for setting it up like that. When was the first time you hung out with Adnan? I met him while I was still at Woodlawn, so around 1998. Stephanie, Jay's girlfriend, came to me and said, Adnan is pretty different. Plus, he wanted to buy some weed. I said, isn't he a paramedic? And she said, nah, he's cool. Plus, he wants to buy. I didn't trust him at first since he wasn't like the people I knew, pot smokers, you know? I made him smoke one time. He got a little high, got a little weird. Didn't say that much. He just seemed like someone who didn't smoke weed too much. He had a professional job in high school. He was a paramedic or something. So just like a note there, Adnan worked as an emergency medical technician, not a paramedic. From your perspective, what was Adnan's reputation at Woodlawn? He was a little pompous, a little arrogant. Do we know this word pompous?
No.
Okay, let's go ahead and underline it and then Google it to see what it means.
What's L?
Pompous means affectedly and irritatingly grand, solemn, or self-important. So basically, someone who's pompous is someone who just like thinks they're better than everybody. Does that make sense?
Miss Guerrero,
Yeah, Jeff?
is it okay if I eat during your class?
Yeah, I love that's okay. Okay.
Yo,
But
What he said? What he said?
you can eat, but you gotta put
all
it up.
that noise over there.
Oh, Miss, I got a question.
Yeah.
Miss,
Yeah.
Miss, can I use the bathroom real quick?
My God,
Oh
guys.
my.
You're annoying.
Can I gotta ask, right? I'm gonna clap.
Just do us all a favor and turn off your video and your microphone, okay?
Yeah, we don't want to see none of that stuff.
Okay. All right. He was a little pompous, a little arrogant, but he seemed really driven as far as his academics. But all those magnet students were.
Oh, man.
God, y'all are weird. He was magnet. He seemed a little bit more uptight than the other Muslim kids that I knew. He seemed under a lot of pressure to please. I got the feeling the few times of interacting with Adnan, there was this enormous pressure from somewhere trying to make him into something he didn't want to be. What do you guys think? Is there any evidence here that we could highlight?
No, just move on.
Just move on. Is that Joe Harley?
I got the feeling a few times.
Yeah. I got the feeling. A sentence?
Yeah.
Why would this sentence be important? Why would this sentence help Jay? Anderson? What do you think? I know you're there. Why is it important that Jay is telling us that he feels that Adnan has a lot of pressure?
He probably think he was being forced to do something he don't be doing.
Okay. Anyone else want to take a guess? Let me ask you a different question. What do we know about Adnan? Like, where is Adnan from?
He a Muslim, right?
Yeah, he's Muslim. Anyone know what country his family's from? They're from Pakistan.
Joe,
Guys, turn on.
what part of I'm trying to learn in school don't y'all boys understand? Oh. For real. Y'all boys thought I was playing. I
Jeff?
can't be a judge at like 10 cents.
Jeff?
So this, they grabbed me from school.
Oh my God, Jeff.
They grabbed me from school.
Just they trying to learn.
Like,
Say I'm doing work. What you thought I was playing?
okay, so wait.
Oh.
I do this.
What you call them? Just brought me a fort. So.
Steve, Jeff.
Oh, Miss. I gotta hang up real quick.
Okay.
My dad's calling
Okay.
to tell me some unimportant
Oh.
stuff.
You lying? You don't gotta die. You
You
lying?
don't have to hang up. Just mute.
I got a dad.
I'm gonna look at that.
Damn.
Okay. So anyways, I don't even remember what I was saying. Oh, Adnan. Okay. Adnan's parents are from Pakistan. So Adnan was born here, but he is the son of immigrants. So what can we say? And again, this is like stereotypical, like everybody's different, but typically, if you either are like born in the U.S. or you moved to the United States and you are the son or daughter of immigrants, like what type of pressure could they be putting on him? Like what is like the stereotypical, like how can your parents maybe be pressuring him? How are his parents pressuring him? Do you guys feel like you understand my question?
No, like reword it. I'm confused.
Okay. So, for example, like, okay, even if we just think about this class, this group that we have, a lot, not all of you, but a lot of people in this chat are like, your parents are immigrants, right? Or maybe you are, right?
Yeah.
So if you think about when you have a parent who like didn't grow up in the United, and this could be true either way, but it's just like a stereotype. What what do they usually expect from you when it comes to school?
Get good grades,
To get good grades?
You
What else?
gotta be a
Uh,
scholar.
pay attention in class.
Pay attention, right?
A lawyer. It's too
What
much.
about like what kinds of jobs do they usually like want you to have?
Doctor.
Doctor,
Doctor,
lawyer,
right?
or engineer.
Or an engineer. So typically, and I mean this is true across the board, but typically when a family moves to the United States, right? Like let's talk about Adnan. So his family moved from Pakistan. They left their home and they moved to the United States because they felt like they would have better opportunities here. So what that usually means is that now they have really high expectations for Adnan. They expect him to get good grades. They expect him to pay attention in school. They expect him to become a doctor, right? And to become a doctor is really hard. You have to have like insanely good grades. You have to get into a really good school and then medical school. So that's like when he talks about this pressure, that's the pressure that Jay is talking about. Like Adnan had all of this pressure from his family and from the people around him to like perform well all the time. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yes,
So we're gonna go
sir.
back to reading. So when did you two get closer to each other? There was never a real friendship. I only smoked with him 2 or 3 times. It was like, oh, we're down in the park. Come on down. We were friendly. We were cool. I might have sat next to him in a class and joked or something, but he didn't call me unless he needed something. It wasn't like, oh, we're going bowling and let's call it in before we go bowling and call the rest of our friends and call Jay. I don't remember ever going to any kinds of functions or endeavors together or any concerts or clubs together, you know. So here he's claiming that there were never really friends. Like they only really hung out to like smoke. So I'm gonna go ahead and highlight.
That's probably why he snitched on him.
Okay, yeah. So was that illegal? Yeah, so like that's kind of evidence for why if they're not close friends, then maybe that's proof that he snitched. What else could this kind of tell us though? Like if Jay and Adnan are not close friends, what does that kind of make us think?
They
He kind of hated him.
Say that again. I think that was Carl.
He kind of hated him.
Well, hate's a strong word, right? But like, let's put it this way. Let's just like play the game of if you killed somebody, right? And you for whatever reason decided to tell somebody, would you tell the guy that you smoke with a couple times?
No, that's what I'm saying.
No.
That's one of your pothead buddies.
Say that again, Aaliyah.
They
That's
just
one of your pothead buddies.
What is pothead?
That's one of your pothead buddies.
What is smoke about?
hurry up.
Google.
I'm just saying. Oh, I'm Minerva.
Okay, so yeah, so this is something that can go either way, right? It's proof that if this is true, it makes sense why Jay would snitch on him, right? If they're not that close. But on the other hand, something to think about is if Adnan really did kill her, why would he tell the guy that he only smoked with a couple of times? Like, why would he tell this guy? Why would he tell Jay his secret if they weren't that close? So that's something to highlight. We could think about it either way.
Yeah.
That boy be lying.
I don't know. I guess we're going to have to read more and kind of figure out. So the next part says, what did you know about Adnan and his relationship with Hae Min Lee?
You see, he got his first girlfriend.
I think that was his first real girlfriend. And I think that's why his reaction was so strong. I don't think it meant that much to her. I don't think that's wrong. And it's high school, you know? She's a high school girl. Oh, he's cute or whatever. Those fizzle out. I think there was another dude or something or whatever. I really didn't know much about their relationship. If they hung out, where they hung out, when they hung out. How do you remember Hae? For our age group, she was really independent. I believe she had a job also, but she seemed to be more mature. Like she was 2, 3, 4 years old. Like she was a junior in college. The way she moved and went about her day. She just seemed like an older chick who happened to be in high school. She also wasn't on the magnet side of the demographic. When did he first talk to you? Oh my gosh. When did he first talk to you about hurting her? It was at least a week before she died, when he found out she was either cheating on him or leaving him. We were in the car, we were riding, smoking. He's just started opening up. It's in the evening after school. We never hung out in the morning. Just normal conversation like, I think she's fucking around. I'm gonna kill that bitch, man. Nothing pointed or anything. Not like I know his name or I caught her. But I just thought he was just shooting off like everyone else shoots off when they're mad at their girlfriend. He never said anything like, hey, what gauge gun should I use? Or how many minutes am I supposed to hold somebody under the water for? Statute of limitations on murder. I thought he was just blowing off steam and bullshitting. I thought at worst he'd throw a rock through her window or something. Normal high school, I'm mad at her and I'll scratch her car sort of stuff. I had never known anybody who had killed anybody else, so there was no way I could have known. But look, if we start speculating what he was thinking that far ahead, I don't know. He might really have just been bullshitting at the time. I don't know what happened, what occurred between them that day. I don't know if she said something he couldn't handle and he went off the edge, or if he had been seriously speculating about it. I don't feel comfortable drawing conclusions like that. You can't start drawing conclusions like that. Okay, so, sorry, my computer is. What do we see in here? What's something that we could highlight? Something that is important.
The fact of him threatening gonna kill the girl.
What?
Say that part again.
The fact of him saying he's gonna kill the girl.
Okay, the part where he says he's gonna kill her. Right? I think like so normal where he says I love how he calls this normal conversation. Where he says that he thinks she's like sleeping with other people and that he's gonna kill her. This part?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else? Anyone I haven't heard from yet, maybe?
Not really.
Okay. All right, let's go to the next part. A big part of the Serial podcast is to speculate on Adnan's motive. What do you think? I don't necessarily know if he meant to kill Hay before he did it or if it was a sudden moment thing. But looking at his life, from what I saw, he seemed to be far out of his realm when it came to Hay leaving him. From the way he carried himself, at least, it looked like he had never lost anything before. And it was really hard for him to deal with being on the losing end. In that situation, he was the loser. And people were starting to find out he was a loser. Oh, you and Hay aren't together anymore. She got a new boyfriend. And he didn't know how to deal with that. And the other thing about it, I mean, there looked like there was real hurt and pain. What else could motivate you to choke the life out of someone you cared about? He just couldn't come to grips with those feelings. However, he ended up doing it. Whether it was premeditated, an involuntary reaction at that point in time, he just couldn't come to grips with being a loser and failing. He failed. He lost the girl. I know that he came from a very strict religious background and that he was uneasy with some of the things he was doing. He was having a hard time enough with that itself. There were some big forces going on that didn't have anything to do with Hay. But like I said, I don't know how to come up with this story about how Adnan did it, why he did it, what he was thinking, how he was thinking, and why he was thinking that. I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a cop. It's not my job. Yeah, Minerva?
Miss, I was talking to my mom.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so Leah asked a good question. Why is this now coming up about Hay having another guy? So for the purpose of time, I didn't show you guys that much of the podcast. The podcast actually, each episode is like an hour long, and there's an entire season. So what we listened to that first day of the podcast was only a tiny bit compared to all of the information that they find out. And if you guys are interested, I can give you guys the link. It's free. It's just on YouTube. If you guys want to listen and hear about all the other stuff, because it's really good. I just didn't want to like overwhelm you guys. So yeah, so another part to the story is that Hay had another boyfriend, right? We knew already that Hay had broken up with Adnan because that was why the police said he killed her. And after she broke up with Adnan, she started dating this other guy. I think he was older. I think he was like in college or something. And so that's what Jay is talking about here. He's saying, right, that like Adnan couldn't handle that he first got dumped and then Hay started seeing this other person. And that was why Jay says Adnan killed her. So in here, is there anything that we see that we could highlight? Vincent, you want to give me something to highlight? I'm just picking on whoever's in the chat. Harold? Anybody? Anybody who's secretly there but not talking?
You can highlight words.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good point though. Is there anything that we saw that you feel like you guys, any words we saw that you guys didn't really know that we could go and kind of look up to help us understand, or do you guys feel like you got what you needed to get out of this?
Oh, we got what we needed to get in this.
Harold, what could I highlight?
I don't know.
Nothing? This isn't important?
Oh, wait. Look, this. You see, the thing is, I didn't read this story.
You can highlight the first sentence.
The first sentence?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, what is that evidence for?
It's like a crime, so like I guess it'll be important. So
That's a sentence.
you know.
But what does that first sentence show us? What does that tell us?
He's trying to say he's innocent, I guess. He said, I don't necessarily know if I meant to kill him. Hey. Wait. Yo, I don't know, Miss. This is, I know it got something to do with a crime. And
Just mute yourself, bro. That's it, bro. Just stop.
I got you.
Yeah. That's a whole
No, it's okay, because Harold honestly came into this late, so it's not Harold's fault. So we're listening to Jay's side of the story, right, Harold? Do you remember?
Yeah.
And again, I've honestly been trying to get in contact with you like for the past 3 weeks. I don't even know if you saw the other stuff. Did you watch the other videos, Harold? Okay, so Harold.
Damn, Harold.
Yeah.
A second.
Miss.
So Harlan, I know you've been like doing all the other stuff. So Harlan,
No, he capping. He been capping.
Recap for
Miss.
Harold. Who is Jay in the story? Like, what is Jay arguing here?
No.
You said Jameis? I see Hay.
Yes, Jay. This guy Jay is the guy. This is Jay. He is the guy that Adnan killed Hay. He's the reason that Adnan is in jail. Literally.
All right.
Joe Harley, can you? I'm just picking on you.
What happened?
Tell Harold. What is Jay's argument?
You want me to tell him?
Yeah, Joe Harlot told me.
His argument is he did a what's that shit called?
I'm not comprehending, sir.
Shut up, guys. That's why you know and that's why I know and you don't. What?
Yo, just mute yourself, bro. Like, cause this ain't working.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this ain't working. You know, I kind of forgot. Tell Leo to say it.
Yeah. Tell Leo to say it.
I'm talking the most basic thing ever. What is his argument? What is the argument?
Yeah, Joe Harlot is that simple, bro. What's the argument?
He said that he killed him. That the other guy, whatever his name is, killed him.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, time out, yo.
You still dumb, bro.
Really, really clear. After this call, I'm going to release a quiz for you guys. And the first question is literally going to say, what is the author arguing, or what is Jay arguing? And we know that he's arguing that Adnan is guilty. He's arguing that Adnan killed Jay. Right? And so now we're trying to figure out what evidence does Jay have for why Adnan killed Hay, or how he knows. Like, what evidence do you have to see that Adnan is guilty? Does that make sense? Oh my! It's just like we're in regular class, right? Ask questions. Oh boy. Okay. So so we highlighted this part, right? He's saying that Hay leaving him was like real motivation for why he killed him. Okay, it is 11:14. So here's what I want to do. There is a few more pages left to this. We did the beginning together, okay? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna release this article. I'm gonna leave everything that we underlined, everything that we highlighted. It's all gonna be there like we just did. And I'm gonna upload this to Google Classroom. You guys are gonna finish reading this. Based on this article, you guys are gonna answer the following questions. So I'm gonna give them to you now and we're gonna talk about them just because I wanna make sure that everyone understands all of my questions because I know I've been using some vocab that, can you guys see me now?
Yeah.
We always taught you this.
You did? Oh.
Yeah, it was.
Listen, you might as well finish today because like none of us got shit to do. It's like we on.
Don't listen to
Harlan.
Harlan. Don't
For real.
listen to Harlan.
Yeah, like what
don't
we
listen
gonna
to
do?
Harlan.
We
Do
gonna
not.
Okay, so this is Adnan Syed back in high school, and this is Heyman Lee. And we're just going to go through some vocabulary words that go along with what we're working on. So first we see this right here that says click me. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. I'm going to click again. So now you know how to move through these vocabulary slides. So as you go through, if you click on each set like this, is going to have its own set of vocabulary that you can click on and look at the definition and other things. So our first word here, for example, would be logical. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this word to see it, to be able to see its definition, translation, things like that. So first we have the translation. So you see I give it to you in Haitian Creole, French, and Spanish. Some of you might not need that, but for those that do, the translation is there. And now I'm going to go ahead and click, and then now we have the definition. So logical is reasoning based on evidence and truth. So here we have the definition of this word, and now we have an example. For example, Gene's argument was logical when he said that we shouldn't go back to school until coronavirus is over so that people don't get sick. So each word is going to have its own deck, its own set, and you just click through each part to help you better understand the word. This is going to help you as we work on those questions that I'm giving you in Google Classroom to help you kind of understand what exactly I'm asking for as we move through these vocabulary words.
To complete is going to be like an open response quiz like we've been doing. And through that, you're going to be answering questions like, what is the argument? Is the evidence logical? Is it relevant? Is it sufficient? Things like that. Okay? If you have questions, if you don't understand my questions that I'm using, if you don't understand like whatever, let me know. Now that we know how to log in and use Microsoft Teams, we can use this to go over the work together. Like if you guys need like a one-on-one, we can do that because now we can share our screens and it's easier to explain things than texting over a remind. Okay? So does anyone have any like last minute questions?